So, hi. It's the preamble. It's the bit of the show I don't like, where I say clearly, distinctly, out loud, um, that we are aware we're being surveilled, that we do not like it, that we did not ask for it. If anyone is making money off of that, is not us, and we want it to fucking stop. Said I was going to talk about some of the lies, and I'm going to. So let's start with one that I sort of talked about a little bit last week, and feel the need to drill down into just a little bit more. These lies, by the way, are not things that we believe. They are things that people have tried to get us to believe or tried to get other people to believe uh, through gaslighting and just straight up lying. Those two aren't the same thing, but a lot of both is going on. I might just say gaslighting broadly. Um, we do not think that we are the second coming of Christ or the Antichrist, the literal those things, not simply like really good. I think I'm fine. I'm okay. But the broad stroke is that we don't believe that either of those are a thing because frankly the we don't believe that the book of Revelation is a book of prophecy. When we were little, we went to, when I say little, we were in high school or just out of. We went to like Bible study thing that our girlfriend at the time was going to, and the Bible study was on the book of Revelation. It made a really compelling case that it's not a that Revelations was not a book of prophecy. Revelations was a message from Christians in Rome. The one of the few rare times where Christians were actually being persecuted, and it was generally a coded message about the goings on in Rome at the time, with the overall message that you're going to be okay. We just need to get through this. And the reason that people look at this wasn't covered in the Bible study. This is something that we've come to having thought about it a lot. The reason that people seem to think of it as a book of prophecy is because the pattern of empires collapsing is a pattern and it happens over and over again in broadly the same way. War, famine, pestilence, and death. Look around you. How many of them can you check off on your bingo card? That just means the thing is ending, not the world. It can feel like an apocalypse if you've defined your world so narrowly as to only be about cis, white, heterosexual Christian values, but it's not. The world's going to keep going. If anyone's going to be the end of it, it's absolutely not us. And if anyone's going to save it, it's going to be a massive group effort. It's not going to be one person, and damn sure it's not going to be us. Us, the system in this body, not us, leftists generally. It'll probably be leftists generally. That's what my money's on. I've been wrong. But the fact that I've met a number of people who seem really convinced of those ideas that we are either of those things says a lot more about your religious mania than ours. Okay. That's all I got for today on that. I'm going to start the music, which is different music. And then we'll get into Citizen Sleeper. I forgot to mute my mic during the intro music, but that's okay because I did a good job of being quiet. I just had a sip of my tea. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and all those who do not feel represented by an oppressive gender binary, hello and welcome. I'm September. You're whoever the hell you say you are, for better or for worse, and you're probably not like your parents at all. Uh, let's just fucking jump into Citizen Sleeper. I'm not sure how many more streams of Citizen Sleeper there are going to be, because we're getting near to the end. We've seen like a couple of endings through, and I know there's a couple more. And Mama, we'll see how it is. Might only be 2 or 3. It might take us to the end of the week. Not sure. We'll figure it out. I know what I'm doing after this too, so it's not like I'm left hanging with a thread. But to set expectation. Speaking of setting expectation, great job, me. Fantastic segue. Hey, content warnings for Citizen Sleeper. Citizen Sleeper is a game about a robot existing on a space station where they are not legally recognized as a person, and therefore plays into a bunch of systemic abuse as we attempt to survive in the cracks of the system that exists. It's not terrible and it's not overbearing. It tends to treat the situation with, I was about to say reverence, but I don't mean that. With courtesy and compassion, and without a lot of oh, there's a specific term for this, like uh, sadness tourism. It's not that, but it does play with some of those ideas. So if those are ideas that you have some trouble with, this may not be the stream for you. There is a not small, apparently, amount of violence, although I was about to say we've probably done the worst of that, but then we had a massive shootout last stream. So maybe we're not, especially since we're doing gang stuff today. So the violence is entirely text based. It is not uh, shown visually in any way and not described with a lot of gore and detail, but it is there. It is in both sort of blunt person to person and gun related flavors. So be wary of that if that is something you have a difficulty with. And I think those are all of the relevant content warnings I need to hand you for the game. Content warnings for myself. I'm a strange person who occasionally makes weird sex jokes or speaks frankly about my trauma. If that's not your vibe, that's okay. If you find that's something you're comfortable hanging around, I'm glad to have you here. If you're here specifically to mock that, fuck smooth off. I'm done being nice about it. Let's get into the game. Just double click on Citizen Sleeper and turn down. Oops. No, not off. Turn down my stream preview so that I'm not hearing myself doubled and on a delay. The weekend was bad. I don't want to talk about it very much. Um, but I went around without a lot of energy and had a thing happen that kind of absolutely crashed me. So spent Sunday in recovery mode, and I'm back. I seem to be doing all right today. Have tea. My energy's up. Hopefully, I can face this next week with aplomb. Click to start, continue the game, hit the live button so that you can actually see that. Hey, we're on cycle 69. I didn't plan that. Nice. Yeah, basically always. All right. So we have upgrade points to spend. Do I want to do those? No, I think I want to save up for the +3s. What do we have on our tracker? Get to know Emphis, which that's something that's happening right now. Emphis is in the middle of... Where'd he go? I zoomed past him a little bit. Nope, that's Mushroom Groves. Oh, right, because we just woke up and we're on the Greenway. Actually, really quick, let me go ahead and do our ship to the commune real quick. Here we go. All right, there we go. My preview was lagging behind. It's fine. Get to know Emphis. That's something that's happening right now. Emphis is prepping the mushrooms that we brought in. Will be treated to a delicious food tomorrow, but that's tomorrow. Flotilla aid we're not doing yet, although we should probably start thinking about it. And what we need to start with that is to bring Peak and Ash are their names, I think. Mushroom caps, which we don't have enough of that particular type of mushroom cap yet. Find Ashton. Ankita wants to... Oh, right. This is the... So, Ankita, here in the... No. I was about to say Ankita is in the Ambergris, which is a ship that we've been fixing up, and she wanted us to go find one of her crewmates who fucked off with a piece of her ship, leaving her stranded. We did that and found that Ashton is his name, had taken that piece of ship and wired it up to another sleeper and was using it as kind of a life support system. That ended badly. That was the shootout I referred to at the beginning of yesterday, or at the beginning of the stream, rather. So, you know, it says talk to Ankita about what happened, but she's not in... Her ship is not in the berth that her ship is usually in. And I don't know where she would have gone, so that'll be fun. There's also Expose Yannick. Our doctor, Sabine, is working with a mid-level member of the local street gang, the Yatagan, to expose Yannick, the leader or one of the leaders of the Yatagan. We're working for his crew specifically now, after having been recommended to him, so that we can earn his trust and presumably set him up to take him down. I don't know how that's going to play out. I actually don't remember how that went from my first playthrough. So the major trackers we have to deal with right now are doing shit with mushrooms and making sure we earn Yannick's trust. Is... I was wondering if Ankita was up here. At the hub, maybe, but no. I'm just gonna go ahead real quick and check everywhere I can check. That's the sleeper capsules. I don't want to be there. How about the bar? No. Midline Freight Hub. No. The Import-Export Lounge. She is not there. The Overlook bar was renamed after we helped get the distillery set up there. Not in the Heavenage offices. Oh no, that's our cycle. No, that's our storage container where we were sleeping for a while. Well, she's not in any of these places. Is she in the Greenway somewhere? In the farm stacks, maybe. No. Why would she be? Chilling in the mushroom groves? No. At the aviary? Nuh-uh. I don't know why she would be at the labs, but maybe she's at the labs. No, she's not at the dorm or the commune. We were just there. Oh, there's the ambergris. And Kita is away. Amber is docked here at a rickety old jetty, but she's sealed up. A note says, "Sleeper, stay. Don't fucking talk to me like I'm a dog." Hey, that's a broad fucking statement. Quit fucking talking to us like we're dogs, you dickheads. I'll be ready soon. Okay, cool. So we'll deal with that in 2 clicks. Waste, climbing briar, and then that's where we need to start the thing. Alright, so all other things being equal, let's... What's the thing happening at the aviary? Oh, the fungus is growing. We need to wait for that to finish up. Let's go ahead and collect some spores while I'm thinking about it. And there we go. So we'll have enough for our next round of fungus when that grows. And in the meantime, let's just work down let's work on Yannick. We only have one action. It's called Patrol the Block. The massive block at the center of the low end is made up of layers and layers of units. Patrolling this vertical city is a challenge. Fortunately, we're good at things sometimes. Oh, a positive outcome gets like 3 of those at once. We can like almost finish this out in one day if we want to. Which, yeah, I see no reason not to. I need to disassemble this, fucking... Well, I don't have the tools for that, do I? I sure don't. The mouse that I'm using has started doing this thing where it, like, triple clicks if I don't hold the button down in a very specific way, and I don't... Yeah, I don't really know how to handle that. Like, it would be easier to take it apart and clean it, I guess, but I don't really know how to do that either. I could, like, just pull the screws and, like, take it apart so I can just see if it's, like, if some sort of contact has come off from where it should be contacting. I don't know. I will deal. Let's go back to the dorm. And... self-repair. I have all this scrap. And I'm going to use that instead of my stabilizer for self-repair, I think. But I don't need to do either of those right now because my condition is still stable, so we're still getting the full suite of 5 dice, except that we have rolled a 1, a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 3. I'm just going to go ahead and click our once-a-day re-roll on that. That's better. A 1, a 2, a 6, a 6, and a 5. We can go ahead and use that 1 to... Oh, no. That's the dorm. I don't want the dorm. I want the commune, so I can do our your work shift. Here we go. And Emphis is ready to talk to us again. Emphis is preparing the Emphis is preparing the Matsutake. Matsutake. Emphis is preparing the Matsutake caps. He cleans them carefully with a damp cloth before shaving the stalks as if he was sharpening a pencil. His knife slides through them, revealing the bright white of the flesh within. These are good, Sleeper. They're very good, he says without looking up. I bartered with Minji for some kelp, too, so we can brew the dashi. Dashi? It's a soup base. It's really good. Emphis slides the sliced matsutake mushrooms to one side and takes out a closed pan. He opens the lid, and you see the green water of kelp sitting in a bath of... The green wafer of kelp sitting in a bath of water. Been soaking it since last cycle. Should be good to warm now. He places the pan over the burner and turns it on low. We have some time now. He wipes his hands clean and throws the cloth over his shoulder. However, there's one difference this cycle. You've been the one providing ingredients, so it's my turn to provide a story. Okay. Good. This story's important to me. He gestures for you to both sit on the folding stools behind the stall. You see these? Emphis runs a hand over his forearm, tracing the circular scars that mark them like perfect bite marks. Conway called it an anchored interface rig, a mechanical control device for piloting a heavy-duty extraction suit in low-G industrial operations. We called it a bone suit. He points to a pattern of larger circles on his shoulder. They drill in and anchor it here, then all the way down the arm. He taps each scar on the way. It maps mechanical movements to the suit exactly, a one-to-one mechanical replication. You swing your arm and a 2-ton arm swings too. You should have seen the recruitment vids. Strong people and even stronger suits tearing through stone and scrap. Superheroes. Half my graduating year signed up, from company school to company shuttle. Conway from birth to death. He stares off into the distance for a moment, fighting with the memories. But the bone suits weren't good. The rate of failures was high. Failures meant arms torn off, anchors torn out, broken bones. Bad stuff. So, after a while, Conway discontinued them. No longer competitive, they said. He checks the broth, turning down the heat and adding the mushrooms. So there we were, hundreds of us with surgical altercations for suits that didn't work. They sent us home, back to that company colony that spat us out, to be cleaners, drivers, and cooks. They gave us drugs for the pain and told us to make something of ourselves. When I deserted, bribing some passing spacers to take me into orbit, there were only me and a couple of others left. The rest just faded away. Arthritis, osteoporosis. They folded in on themselves like paper lanterns. That was my generation. The anchor points still ache. They still burn. He touches the scars. But what burns worse is the betrayal. I've been on the eye a long time now, but that'll never fade. Not that, not the faces of my friends. Emphis reaches over and sprinkles a handful of leaves into the broth. It's ready. I'm sorry. Yeah, don't be. It was Conway's crime, and you know better than most what we went through. It's enough that you're here to listen. Emphis pours the broth into a double-walled metal bowl and hands it to you. The heat radiates through your hands, and the smell drifts up, rich and sharp, like a pine forest after the rain. You drink the broth slowly, chewing the matsutake and thinking. Emphis busies himself with cleaning the pans and the bowl, sealing the kelp back up for another day. Then he quietly comes to sit with you while you finish your meal. Neither of you speak, preferring instead to let the story linger in the air a little longer. It is not that there is nothing to say. It is that sometimes, in the moments after something, speaking breaks the spell. So you both idle, eager to be in each other's company, Emphas taking longer over his cleaning, his packing, and you savoring the final dregs of broth. When you finally finish and hand him the bowl, you feel the spell break and the story leaves you both. And as you leave, you know that both of you are somehow a little more empty and a little more full than before. More hitting at the window. So that's that drive done. We now know apparently as much about Emphas as Emphas will be willing to tell us, which is fine. People are entitled to their privacy. We can still order fungus from his shop, but he's not interested in us bringing him fancy materials. So let's go ahead and finish out Yannick's thing. The massive block. No, I read that already. There's one left for Yannick's trust, so let's just go ahead and do that. Hi, Freya. Sorry, I didn't see you come in. It is good seeing you. We are infiltrating a street gang for complicated reasons that have to do with our meds. You almost laugh when you see it. The same small recorder, stuck to a different wall this time. Written across the fluorescent tape is that familiar word, sleeper. You grab it quickly. Rabia says sorry. Sabine's voice sparks up once again. She said she didn't have time to brief you before setting you up with the old man. I'm sure you've got the play by now. Earn his trust, work the block. Then we need you to get into his office. A pause. It's risky, but obviously you know you're the only one of us he doesn't already know. Either way, we need to locate the link to SNARP. You hear a shout in the background of the recording. Rabia says be careful. Sabine continues. The data suggests there's some relay processing the implant data and sending it to SNARP, but we can't lock down its position. Either he's moving it, or it's moving itself, or it's rerouting through other relays. We can't understand it. Maybe you can find some details on it in his office. Once he trusts you, you should be able to get close enough to get in the office. You only get one shot. The recording creaks and whines. That's the final piece of the puzzle to end this. A pause. Good luck, Sleeper. I'm sorry too. Be safe. The recording clicks off, leaving you in silence. You pocket the recorder just in case and walk away. Looks like it's up to you. Yannick's office. Critical action. We can only do that once. Thank God we have a 6 to spend on it. How's your day been, Freya? If you feel like sharing, you obviously don't have to. I'm just going to click in to find the relay real quick. You look at the countermeasure on the drawer. It looks like some kind of shock trap. If you'd grab the drawer, you'd likely have thousands of volts running through your system right now. You wince. Once you find the anchor points, it comes away easily enough. You prise it from the drawer quickly and quietly, then listen for footsteps in the corridor outside. Nothing. All clear for now. You slide the drawer open, looking for other countermeasures that might be inside, expecting to see a chunk of tech, the relay. But as you slip it open, all you see is a handful of wires and an empty implant cradle. Is this some kind of mistake? You freeze for a moment, unsure of what to do next. Why keep an implant cradle so carefully guarded? You remember Yannick having an implant, a small plate on the side of his head just above his ear. You had assumed it was for hearing or vision. Those shimmering glasses of his come back to you in your memory, his strange movements, his speech. You look again at the cradle, and there it is, printed on the frame. Proprietary technology, property of SNR. Rabia said the relay moved, that they couldn't get a fix on it. What if Yannick was the relay? The thought hits you like a shock. Yannick, with a remote relay implanted in his head, networked to every single implanted enforcer in the low end. A shudder runs through you. Is he even in control? Or has SNARP wormed his way into the man? Could he even be considered separate from the corporation itself? You think of your own legal status as proprietary technology, a puppet with cut strings. Time to cut Yannick's strings, then. You reach around inside the cradle and find it, a remote connection, a tiny bead of a transmitter, likely controlling the link to SNARP. There it is. You pause for a moment, then you squeeze it, snap it from the frame, and it crumples, sparks, and dies. It takes a moment before the shouts come, before the scream, and you are already on your way out, down the corridor, down through the unit that serves as the lobby to Yannick's office. Then, out onto the walkway where Yannick lies still, enforcers gathered around him, bemused. Approach, I guess. You push through the crowd, and there he is, still crumpled. You arrange him a little, lie him down properly, feeling how thin his body is under his suit. You wonder how long he's been like this, a puppet for SNARP. With the connection cut, nothing remains but the body, which means that Yannick, the man, was gone a long time before now. You place a hand on his chest. You are sorry for him, but it's done now. And you did not kill this man. You've seen enough. The connection is cut, and whatever Yannick was or had become is gone. Your anger is a hard core in your chest, and all of it is focused on SNARP. We will learn what the aftermath of that is in 4 cycles, and that is gonna be interesting. The main structure of the temple I've been building in Minecraft is done now. That's cool. I'm very good to... I saw you posting about that a little bit. I'd be very happy to see pictures of it if you wanted to share them. Both because... you know me, and I fucking love Minecraft, but also the... seeing how other people approach their faith is interesting to me, and the idea of building a temple in Minecraft specifically as an act of devotion is very interesting to me. But again, if you feel that's private or you just don't want to share it with us personally, that's fine. Understandable. We still have some dice we can use, but nothing really critical to put them in at the moment. So how about we come here to the Mushroom Groves and we just pick up some Griol caps on the cheap. And that'll give us enough to start up, or will it? Or does it need 3? No, it needs 2 Griol caps. Let's leave that for tomorrow, because I don't know what all dialogue that's going to unlock when we unlock it. I'm going to be taking pictures when it's all done. Nice. I look forward to them. Let's... Do we want to do a shift in the stacks? Not really. Like, we don't particularly need money anymore now that our ship came in, no pun intended, although it's there anyway, um, with Bliss. So, I don't know, let's put a shift in at the Banyan, a place I actually like. Hey, apparently the Banyan likes me too. Positive outcome. Made a little money. Did I do the shift at the... Yeah, I think I did. Okay. There's a couple more noises than we usually get. All right. Let's talk to Ankita first, I guess, about how that shootout went down. You spot Ankita on the track to the farm stack. She has a box on her shoulder and is working her way down the slope. She sees you as she approaches. Neither of you speak for a moment. She looks tired, pale. Her hair is tangled and clumps of dirt cling to her armor. You both eye each other. Ankita, she holds up a hand. Sleeper. She takes a deep breath. Sorry for what happened. Truly, I am. I'm sorry you ended up in the middle of this when all you have shown me is kindness. She rubs her face. Sorry. I want to say it's okay because she is apologizing. On the other hand, hey, she was absolutely about to kill another sleeper on a revenge peak. She nods, then looks up to the stars. I've never... She stops herself. Thank you. Ankita shifts the weight of the box on her shoulder. I've been preparing for... She grimaces. Look, can you come with me? It'd be easier if... Alright, lead on. Ankita leads down on the dirt path between the pillars. There is a wind passing through the greenway, a quirk of the air currents the biosphere maintains, and it ruffles the leaves softly. The sound makes the silence more obvious, more complete. You try not to think of the last time you were here. You've been trying not to think of it for the past few cycles. The image of the sleeper, sprawled, twisted open, connected to the ship mind, has been hard to forget. You realize Ankita is leading you back there, back into the drum at the center of the stack. You pause, trembling a little at the threshold. She turns. What are you doing? She looks at you. She looks at you with empty eyes. What needs to be done? You stand on the threshold and look up at the tanks, green and wet, some glowing with flickering grow lamps. You look down at Ankita, suddenly so small under this hulking ruin, the smallest she has ever looked. She places the box down. Follow her in. You follow Ankita into the stack through a low tank, entering the drum at ground level. It is just as beautiful as you remember, but it barely touches you. Instead, you check the apertures of the tanks for the glint of a weapon or a shadow among the moss. Ankita stops and you look down. The mossy island at the center of the tank is clear now, the equipment cleared away. In its place is a mound of dirt, loosely covered with moss. Ashton's rifle stands straight, half buried in the dirt at the grave's head. I buried them together, Ankita says without turning. You both stand there in silence for a little while. You think of questions you could ask about Ashton, about the sleeper. How long did you know him? She takes a moment to respond, and for a moment you think she won't, but then the words come gushing out. Signed on a while ago. He used to run recon for a corporate outfit, but he got sick of the pay. He joined the crew as a sniper, and the first few jobs were a breeze. He was so cold, disconnected. He always hit his marks. The last few jobs, though, he was different. I noticed that. We'd had a period of extended shore leave on the eye, and when he came back, he was changed. I assumed he'd just had too much time off. He was right. I never would have given in the ship mind. Wouldn't have believed him. I've had crew members double-cross me, undercut me, rat me out. That's the business. He wasn't a good person. None of us in this job are. This is how we die. Alone. She stops, not sure of what to add. It seems like she is reaching for something, but she can't quite get there. You feel that gap between you, and as you do, it widens. The water drips, the moss trembles. You both stand in silence for a while longer. You both feel it, life creeping back in, the silence ending. Ankita shifts her weight and then starts to walk out. You follow her, suddenly eager to be back out in the open space of the Greenway, to be away from this place forever. You stand outside and breathe the fresh air. You stare at the green leaves and the stars wheeling above them. That's it, says Ankita from somewhere behind you. You try to think of something to say, but can't. Ankita puts a hand on your shoulder. You turn back to her. At least take this. She forces a handful of cryo chits into your hand. It's what I owe. She looks at you desperately. You look down at the metal bars. Ugly little things, you think. We don't at this moment need the money, but this is more Ankita making it right for herself. And while this whole situation was a massive clusterfuck and I dislike how it turned out, no, actually. You open your hand and let the chits fall to the floor. They clunk into the dirt and she does not pick them up. You turn without saying a word and continue up the track. She does not follow. As you walk up the rise, the wind picks up and the leaves shudder. You walk faster, trying to outpace your anchor. You think of those ugly metal bars in the dirt. A life has to be worth more than that. It has to be. Fu. Now for some severe tonal whiplash. I've also been playing Neopets. We have not Neopetted in a good long time. Which pet did you choose? Who are you maining in Neopets? I remember back when we were doing Neopets regularly, we had like maybe two, we might have had three, I don't think so though. our first one and our main one was Loop. Or Lupe, possibly it's pronounced. Lupe. We named it something with like red in the name, and then it promptly got like zapped by the transmogrifier array into not being red anymore, so the name didn't make any sense. I'm meaning the walkie. I'm having trouble remembering which one the walkie is. I'm just gonna look that up on the phone real quick. I'm sure if I just type the word walking into DuckDuckGo, it'll bring it up. Well, I should probably take the precaution of putting Neopets on there as well. Oh, you're cute. The sort of fox one. That makes a lot of sense. How are you and your walkie getting along? Are I presume they're HTML5 or some shit by now, but like are the Flash games and shit on there still like reasonably worth playing? In the meantime, I need to decide what to do with the I need to decide what to do with these dice. Let's do a shift to the Bataillon. Because I want to. Oh, and we need to do our shift at the commune also. And I think the other 3 dice are going to be for foraging for mushrooms, because those are ready to go. There's a fungal yield. They're converting the whole website to HTML5. I don't like their new UI at all. You can see it about you see it about 2/3 of the time. What's the difference between the new and the old UI? Is it just like, how do I say this without sounding disparaging? I suppose I don't want to not sound disparaging of it. Like sort of the quote unquote best practices mobile game interface. Where everything's just like a little too busy and constantly reminding you of all the ways you could pay them money. And foraging for our mushrooms gave us another club head cap, which means we have enough to synthesize some of our meds. I'm still not going to use that. I'm going to go ahead and use these scraps to repair myself up first, but... And I think with everything else being done, behind a gloomy Esh. They brought mushrooms. Esh tosses the mushroom caps onto a crate, raising her eyebrows at Peek. Peek gives her a look. Thank you, Sleeper. They pick one up and sniff at it. Are these edible? Yeah. Peek turns the caps over in their fingers before putting it down. We're not so used to fresh produce. Esh is securing crates as she speaks, and she doesn't look up. Hawthorne doesn't have much in the way of farming. Hawthorne? The installation we grew up on. Esh wipes off her hands on a rag. XPR loves to name their property after natural things, but that's about as far as their relationship with plant life goes. XPR. Was this an interrogation? She glares. Either way, we're done with that place, which is all you need to know. Ash leans back against the crate she was securing. We're gonna need more than a few mushrooms if we want to help those refugees, though. What do they need? Food, water, components, a whole lot of things. Ash stands and walks over to the mushrooms you brought, placing them into a small container with care. The problem isn't just getting supplies, it's getting them through the ships. Can't you speak to Heavenage? We aren't exactly welcome guests, Peek explains. If anyone figures out that we came in with the refugee ships, we'll be quarantined as well. Why is there quarantine? Peek jumps in. The Eye has a closed-loop life support system, just like any orbital installation. Any unfamiliar illness or significantly increased strain on life support could cause a cascading collapse in its systems. Ash scoffs. Are we making excuses for these bureaucrats now? We are being realistic, Ash. These people aren't an increased strain, they're living people. Ash stares at you. Even calling them refugees is just a way of turning a lot of scared, desperate people into a single monolithic group. Ash slides the container full of mushrooms into one of the cargo hold's racks. Look, as much as I'd like to chat, we've still got a lot of space to fill in this hold, so if you're going to help... I think Ash is trying to say that we need your help, and quickly, Peek says, glancing at her. The refugees behind the cordon, they won't be able to hold out indefinitely. We need to get supplies to them in the next 12 cycles, or Heavenage will have to bear the responsibility for whatever happens next. What can I do? There's things we still need to secure. Water, food, and scrap components for ship repairs. Ash gestures to the storage containers around the hold. Water we can just find a way to source, or my preference, just siphon off from the underground reservoirs in the Greenway. Ash. For food, the things could be tricky. Those mushrooms are delicious, I'm sure, but there's no way we can get enough volume to feed a flotilla. However, I saw an algae stack on the way over. If we can get access... No, not more stealing, Ash. I didn't say steal. If we can get access, we can work the stack, harvest some algae for the flotilla. Those stacks churn out vast quantities in short timescales. And the repair components? Ash smiles. Just look around you, Peek. This whole place is made of scrap. And I'm sure the Sleeper has their sources. They can bring them right here. We can get everything before time runs out? Perfect. We get most of it? Also good. Either way, in 12 cycles, I'm going to take what we have and go. How will you get through? Esk shoulders a container. I thought I'd leave that up to you, Peek. They flinch. Are you serious? Ash, I know we said we'd help the flotilla, but at what point? They stop and take a breath. Take this seriously, Ash. I don't know the first thing about breaking a quarantine cordon. Maybe not. Ash looks at you, but they might. They slipped out from an S&R facility, didn't they? Plus, they've been here longer than us. You're always trying to get me to find help? Well, here it is. She gestures at you. Help. Peek glances between the two of you. I swear to... I need to think this one through. Meet me at the cordon in a couple of cycles, Sleeper. Maybe we can figure something out. Meanwhile, Esh meets your eye. You can help me acquire the supplies, discreetly. She smiles. We have to keep this quiet, keep Heavenage out of the loop. Once they get suspicious, this is all over for us. This all suddenly seems a little too real, too dangerous. You've only just found your feet on the eye. This is not a time for causing trouble. Come find us. We'll be out there trying to pull this all together. Esh goes back to the hold to start packing another container. Peek, come help me. Peek glances back at her. Sleeper, look. We didn't choose this either. They lower their voice. Help us finish this. We've set up a base camp on the Broken Spoke. You're welcome to rest there in any of the cots while we work on this. They smile. We're in this together. Peek! Ash shouts, and they walk back into the hold to help with the container. As you leave the climbing briar, you look out at the broken edge of the eye's ring, where Heavenage's cordon blinks with tiny red lights. What are you getting yourself into? Here is a base camp. We can sleep here if we want, but I'm enjoying sleeping at the commune. Here's the climbing briar. We need 8 scrap for the flotilla to start with. I don't know what makes the rest of this click down, but we can get scrap, so we might as well bring scrap. In fact, have some to hand. It does not want me to put them in one at a time. It wants me to give it all 8 at once. Okay. What the hell's this? Oh, this is the algae stack. The algae stack is controlled by a small collective of farmers. If you want to use it, you'll need to persuade them. Hi. I'm a very convincing robot. Me and my friends would like to borrow your farm equipment. We swear we will leave it here when we are done. Shoot. What's this one? This is the water reservoir. Hack sensors, siphon water. We need to click up a bunch of that. Oh, hang on. I haven't done something very important. Robbie's office is still outgoing. Feed the stray. There you go. And do I just want to re-roll these dice and see if I can't get something a little better so I can just knock the algae off our list, off of our shopping list? I think so. Let's do that. Hey, a 6. We need to... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, okay. This is basically its whole own thing. So I was correct to leave all of the rest, like wait until all of the rest of the clocks were clicked down before I started in on this shit, because this is a multi-layer problem, and I've got a while to finish it, but still. We got the extra upgrade point for... Yeah. Let's go ahead and upgrade our engineering. We're gonna have to take a perk next time, I guess. I'll be back in a little bit. Enjoy your... whatever it is you're doing. I'll continue to be here. Let's go ahead and let's go ahead and just siphon as much water as we can. Wow, even a positive outcome there only raises that by 1, huh? Okay, that's fine for a given value of fine. Let's put in our 4 there, and then we can spend that last dice to do our work shift at the commune. And pull some sleep. And, huh? Uh-oh. I didn't expect a thing to happen here. As you leave, you find a note pinned on the outside of the door. Oh, okay, this is fine. It reads, Sleeper, there's something you need to see. Meet me at the cordon as soon as you can. Just keep heading around the ring until you hit the flotilla. I'll be waiting. Peek. You pocket the note and glance around the corridor. Looks like you're doing this. Time to make a plan. Sleeper. Peek catches your attention from the shadowy corner where they were leaning against. Any trouble getting up here? None. It's good to hear. Come, take a look at this. They beckon you over to a nearby window, which looks across the ruined ring to the blinking red lights of the Heavenage cordon. The cordon's temporary structures, a net of metal struts meant to detect and dissuade any ships from entering or leaving the flotilla, jut out into the black. And all around, the tugs flit, securing them in place and tending to the red blinking drones that demark the quarantine. It's an impressive and worrying sight. What do you think? How would you get through? Use one of the tugs? An escort, you mean? I doubt we could fit all the supplies on one of those tugs, but if it seemed like the Briar was being officially escorted through the cordon... Peek squints at the red lights, but then we'd be stuck inside. Peek turns away from the window and rubs their forehead. Esh has really wrapped us up in something here, hasn't she? The question is spoken under their breath, and they don't seem to expect an answer. The silence grows. Why are you helping the flotilla? I mean, besides the fact that, like, they're people and they deserve to not die in floating coffins a mere ship's width from actual help. Peek looks up. You don't think it's a worthy cause? They pause. We ran into them when we escaped Hawthorne. Esh insisted we investigate their distress signal. I'm not saying we shouldn't have. Peek stares out the window at the distant blinking lights of the arrived ships. It's just... Peek brushes back their hair. Forget it. Let's focus on the plan. They flash you an easy smile. It doesn't matter why, we're the ones who are going to help them. The way I see it, there are 3 parts to making it through that cordon. They gesture out the window at the strange structure. Deception, distraction, and speed. We'll need all of them for a clean passage through. Deception means tricking the cordon security into thinking that we're meant to be there. Maybe a tug escort would work. Anything that makes the Briar look official. Distraction, meanwhile, will be all about diverting attention so that no one looks too hard at what Briar's doing. If we can create a gap in the cordon scanning and deterrence systems, that should keep them busy. Finally, speed will mean making sure the Briar is ready to roll. Perhaps we can do a little work on the ship to get her ready. Ash surely wouldn't mind. They lean back from the window. How does that sound? Risky? Well, yeah, there's always going to be risk. That's how this works. You've got to be on board with that. Peak looks down at their slate. 10 cycles left. They glance out of the window at the cordon nervously. 10 cycles to gather the supplies and to prep this plan. It's tight. It's very tight. If this goes wrong, Peak sighs, just get out, okay? I'll follow Ash anywhere, but you don't need to get dragged down with us. It won't come to that. Peak brightens up a little. Of course. But just keep it in mind. Let's get to it. Peak stretches. I'll tell Ash about the improvements to the Briar, and the rest, let's explore the cordon as best we can and look for openings. I have no idea what guardian angel sent you to a sleeper, but I'm very glad they did. Alright. Let's finish up the water, I think. Okay. And we got a little bit of an alert, but we did get all the water stuff done. Tucked into a service corridor deep below the reservoir, Ash is double-checking the seals on the water tanks loaded onto the motorized trolley. Though you are far enough away from any thoroughfares not to worry about being overheard, you both still speak in hushed tones. How will you get these to the Briar? Ash glances back at you. We'll trolley these up to a bay further along, then we'll bring in the Briar for a quick and quiet collection. Speaking of quiet, she gives you a look and then pointedly back down the corridor towards the reservoir before hitting the ignition on the trolley to start it moving. You take the other side of the trolley and walk it up the wide service corridor with its flickering lights and Solheim detritus. You doubt it gets used by Heavenage, at least that's the hope. You glance across at Ash, her face a mask of determination as she guides the trolley along. Maybe some conversation will make this journey a little easier. How'd you meet Peak? Ash pauses a little surprised by your question. She glances back down the tunnel, but in this deserted passage she can hardly keep up the pretense of silence. We grew up together. She answers quickly and turns back to the trolley, but she can tell you're expecting her to add more. She seems to gather herself for an answer, not wanting to ignore you, but trying instead to get her answers straight in her head. Our outpost, Hawthorne, it's not an easy place to grow up. The administrators keep a tight hold of everything, even though they're trapped in the same decaying installation as everyone else. Peak, she pauses. Peak found it harder than most. She pauses again, judging her words. I stepped in to help them out. Silence descends again, but you can feel the wheels turning in Ash's mind as the creaking wheels of the trolley take you along the corridor. Peak isn't the most practical of people. They used to be, well, they needed someone to teach them to look after themselves, stand up for themselves. That was me. She smiles. And after that, I couldn't get rid of them. Esh stops talking, but you see her eyes have lit up, and you imagine she is recalling some moment or other from her and Peak's past. You both reach a wide bulkhead doorway and have to stop to shimmy the trolley over the edge. When you are done, Esh turns to you. I'm good from here. Head back. And with that, she's gone, moving off into the dark tunnel ahead. You watch her go, and then turn around and walk the distance back to the staircase you entered from, the tunnel humming around you as you do. As you walk, you try to piece together Esh's past, but all you have are little glimpses of a person she once was. She seems to prefer it that way. All right. Fruitful. Let's go ahead and oops, no. That's the wrong thing. Haifa commune, work assignment. There we go. Keep your grades up. And fucking that's it for today, and then we'll complete active scenes. Oh, the thing with Yannick is done clicking down. I forgot about that. Let's go ahead and see what kind of disarray we caused over there. Even before you enter the office, you can hear the sound of Rabia working the heavy bag. She is hammering it, the chain creaking as it shakes with each hit. She has been like this since Sabine doesn't finish the sentence. They are sitting on a stool, looking at the terminal in the corner, searching through the SNARP data you pulled all those cycles ago. How have you been? I'm well, Sleeper. Happy to no longer be hunted. They smile. Yatagan has plenty to deal with, and without Yannick, I'm free. They glance nervously at Rabia. Rabia stops punching, and in the silence you can hear her breathing hard. Sabine looks over at her, and you sense something between them. You realize you haven't seen them together since they tried to kill each other in this same unit. A lot has changed since then. They hooked him up like a puppet. Rabia hits the bag, rigged that thing in his head so they could control him, push the old Yannick out. I don't know why he let them in. Rabia throws a few more punches, but it's a lesson. Don't let them in. Another flurry. Yatagan shouldn't deal with corporations, and we never will again. She spits. She comes away from the bag. At least Yannick's death has been treated as natural. There's a chance we come back from this, that Yatagan can hold on, but there are opportunists trying to take control. Sabine turns to you. Yes, but now the connection has been broken. I've been looking at removing the trackers from the implants in Yatagan's enforcers. It's a significant job, but I think with time I can do the surgeries. Rabia walks away from the bag towards the far side of the unit. Those surgeries will never happen if Yatagan collapses, she shouts back at Sabine. Clearly, this is a well-worn argument in the unit. Will Yatagan really collapse? I don't think so, no. Rabia doesn't either, at least not when she's calm. What I understand now is that Yatagan can be something if we want it to be. Coming here from SNARP, from the core worlds, all I saw was a gang, and with Yannick keeping me on a tight leash, they shudder. Rabia believes, and I want that belief. They look unsure. I also want to be done with SNARP, but I doubt they're done with me. They glance away, rubbing their shoulders. We can ask, hey, are you and Rabia... Gestures with hands, vaguely. I think we're not going to intrude in their business at the moment. I hope you're right. Me too. I've been wanting to say, Sabine begins nervously, I'm sorry I didn't tell you where I came from. I know I've apologized before, but I want to again, properly. When I leaked the data on the Sleeper program, it was to try to help people, like you. They grit their teeth. But after all the cycles here, being pushed down, pushed around, trying to survive, all that got away from me. So when you turned up, they sigh. It shook me up. They run a hand through their hair. But I ended up here, so they look at Rabia. Oh, of course. They reach into a pocket and take out a handful of vials. These are the last of the case. You can have them. They drop them into your hands. After these last few, I don't know what we can do. With the SNARP connection broken, they look down. But I know there are other ways. Repairs, other pharmaceuticals. I even heard there are some labs out on the Greenway. Perhaps they can help? They meet your eye. I'm sorry I can't do more. Thank you for everything. They look away, their eyes bright with tears. Rabia crosses back to you both and sits beside Sabine. They look at each other, and you can't help but smile at the idea of them together. What are you two plotting? Sabine laughs, and the sound is a welcome one. You watch the two of them teasing each other and smile. Later, when you leave, you take that handful of vials out of your pocket and look at them. You can still feel that core of anger deep down inside, and you don't know if it'll ever leave. But SNARP doesn't own you anymore. They can't. Because this place, these people, own you. They are what makes you get up every cycle. They're what keeps you breathing. You put the vials away and walk through the low end, your senses tuned to every sight, every smell, and every sound, soaking it all in, living. Let's do a big scroll backwards. Because I wanted to see if anything new had popped up. Let's go ahead and look at the hub too while I'm thinking about it. But I think, hey, what's happening in Bliss's Bay? Moritz has heard Bliss speaking with someone remotely. Is there another job coming in? Well, that'll be ready in 6 cycles. There's not a lot I can do about it right now, so... let's go ahead and... grab a sleep at the dorms. We have 4 stabilizers. And we can synthesize more fairly regularly. And we need as many dice as we can for the next little while we work out this blockade thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and use that now. And I'm gonna do a little bit of a back stretch as I wait for the cycle to cycle. There we go. So the first run of the algae stack should be finished. Yes, it is. We need 8 successes to make food for the flotilla finish off. But that should be... oh, not doable all at once, huh? Yeah, because down here we have a clock that says algae growth, and once that... I had assumed that once it's full we could just, like, harvest to our heart's content, but no, this is showing us that we can only take 3 harvests at once. We have another thing that says accelerate growth. Does that happen instantly? Yeah. I shouldn't have bothered doing that. Crud. Hang on, let's go look at the cordon too, because I think there's stuff that needs to happen out here. Yeah, we need to do stuff here too. Okay. Um, but I really wish I had better than a 1 or a 2 to work on this with. Endure takes that up to 3, which gives it a chance for a positive outcome, but not a big chance. We could harvest mushrooms, but that's not really doing anything for us either right now. So how about instead... No, that's actually just dangerous. Let's go ahead and try our luck at the algae stack with that 3. I don't like it, but... Yep. That just... we got the negative outcome and it just drained our energy and we didn't actually harvest anything. Damn, okay. This is doable. Belatedly, good evening. Sorry I've missed these streams until now. That's okay, Fib. So to sort of catch you up where we are, well, actually, let's leave aside most of everything else and only focus on the DLC stuff because that's basically all we have left now. We are a what is called a sleeper, which is kind of a AI construct robot thing made from the memories of a person. We are technically property of a corporation, but we escaped and are living in, well, we had been really living in the margins here on the Eye, a giant space station. But we've managed to establish ourselves pretty well. We have a pretty good amount of money. We have joined a commune, which helps supply our food and sleep requirements. And we're just sort of like doing work. And the work that we're doing right now is helping with helping a couple of friends that we made with a refugee flotilla. Beyond this series of red lights is a bunch of ships. Refugees from a planet that broke down. They would like very much to be on the space station because it's safe there, but are being blocked by the corporation, a different one than the one we are technically the property of, that runs it. So right now what we're doing is putting together a care package to smuggle over and trying to do all the logistics to make sure that smuggling goes okay. Let's go ahead and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We could do, well, not all of it. We can do 2. So let's go ahead and do 2. And we'll re-roll those other dice. And there we go, a 5, a 4, and a 2. And use that to help with the, like, to look at the stuff on the cordon. How much longer do we have? Oh, we have plenty of time. So every time we sleep, we will click up 1 cycle on certain clocks. This is one of them. We have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, it was originally 12, and we're down 4, so that's 8. We have 8 more cycles to get all the things we need. Which I think is incredibly doable. We just need to be smart about how we're using our resource of dice. And I need to put in a shift at the commune. Okay. How much more do we need the algae stack? Oh, only like one more success there. So I think we can actually just sort of like leave that back and that'll be fine. Let's go ahead and finish off this. So we have done all of our research at the Cordon. This has opened up 3 things to us. The crew canteen. Oh, okay, we need to do more stuff over here. Hell. Cordon operations, sabotage, sensors. Some careful sabotage to the Cordon system should create a sensor gap that will allow the Briar to bypass automatic quarantine systems. Is that leading to the same clock? No, it sure isn't. And then Heavenage Hangar. The tugs have a powerful suite of ion thrusters for rapid maneuvering. If you can sneak in and slice some off, you'll have a significant upgrade for the Briar. This is stuff we need to do to fix up the ship that we're running through the blockade, which has made me less confident about how much time we have left. I think it'll be okay. Let's re-roll these. There we go. So now we have a whole bunch of algae, crisps, I guess, that we can send over as food for the flotilla. You are leaning against the metal crates you just loaded up with algae, packed and dried into bright green pucks. Esh hops onto one beside you, flexing her aching back. Is this enough? Esh squints at you as if you just interrupted her train of thought. It's a look you've become familiar with. Doesn't matter either way. This is what we've got. She sighs, rubbing the back of her neck. In these past cycles, working the algae stack with Esh, you've had little insight into her mind. She rarely seems happy to start a conversation, but is always eager to end one. Despite this, you feel like something has grown between you, something like silent trust, the kind that tends to seed itself in the fertile soil of hard but necessary work. Concerned? Esh laughs. You could say that. She turns to face you. I think it'd be stupid not to be concerned about all of this. She's right, of course, though it's hard to focus your concerns on one thing in particular. Can the refugees survive on the flotilla? What are Heavenage doing to help them? If the quarantine's lifted, is the Eye really in danger? Each worry is far too large to even begin to process, to judge, and they mesh with other more personal worries until you feel the anxiety growing in your chest. You look at Esh and are suddenly eager to speak, to talk about something, anything, rather than just sitting and feeling this growing weight. Pardon me, I'm just going to take a sip of my sip. Why escape XPR? Esh pauses, her protective instinct fighting with the trust you've built. You can see her begin to shrug the question off, then she stops, rethinks, sighs. What you need to understand, Sleeper, is that Erlen's Eye wasn't the only place where the Solheim collapse happened. Sure, Hawthorne, where we grew up, was an XPR installation, but that didn't screen it from Solheim going under. Actually, Solheim was the only reason XPR were ever here. She pauses, hesitant to get into the whole story, but wanting to offer something. We... She flinches, correcting herself. They are a service corp, you understand? They set up outposts and surrogate systems like this to offer refueling, logistics, and maintenance services to bigger companies with extraction contracts. She gestures to the eye around her, like Solheim. When Solheim went bust, XPR lost their client, and Hawthorne, well, we lost everything. We became an outpost tasked with just holding on, keeping the refueling platforms running, they said. Keep the outpost stable, hold on to our claim. She rubs at her head as if recalling all this was somehow physically painful. You know what it's like to spend your entire life in a place with no future? A place that exists only to hold a legal claim to a piece of territory, to shore up breach of contract negotiations between two corporations. It's like living in a... She searches for the word, her eyes jumping back and forth. In a grave. So if you're looking for the answer to why questions, that's your answer. We, Peek and I, know what it's like to be forgotten, to be locked out. She stares hard at the side of the stack, the algae whirling against the glass in beautiful patterns, and she doesn't look away. The silence extends, and you realize the conversation is over. Ash seems angry, not at you, but with herself for even voicing such ideas. After a while, you stand and start to load the crates onto the powered cargo trolley that Ash will run back to the Briar. As you do, you try to catch her eye, but she avoids it, soothing herself instead with the comforting simplicity of physical work. Sometimes you just want the most complicated thing in your life to be picking Nirnroot, right? That's food and water taken care of for the flotilla. They need scrap also for ship repairs, and we can do that too. This is the quickest way to get scrap. Is this the quickest way to get scrap, or can we buy scrap somewhere? Hypha Commune, Hypha Dorm, Hypha Labs, those won't have anything. That's all fungus stuff. Listen, man, I'm telling you, Fungusine is... Ascender car... Oh, the import-export. Do you sell scrap at the import-export? No, but I could buy a ship mind. I don't need that. How about the freight hub? We can steal a shipment at the freight hub. And get a bunch of random stuff. Caster's table isn't gonna do it. The orts... That's... Oop, no. At the stall, the ort exchange... No, I can sell scrap there. That's not useful. There's a scrap freighter. We can indeed buy some scrap here. So let's just go ahead and buy 3 scrap. Because when you have a bunch of money, you should be using it for something fucking positive. We are not allowed to buy any more scrap right now. Oh, motherfucker. So it said scrap, and I presumed it was going to be the thing called scrap, but it wasn't. We got ship mind fragments now, too. I don't need those. That's not good to have right now. There's a merchant freighter out here, too. We could buy another fucking ship mind fragment, I guess, and then make it into something and then sell it off, but... Shipyard is happy to pay for ship mine fragments they can dismantle and reuse. I'm not doing that. No, where can I buy scrap? please. Hey, Bliss. No, I can do a shift doing component repair. That's not the same thing. Okay. Did I remember to do our shift at the commune? I don't think I did. So let's go ahead and do that first. And then we'll just trawl the wastes for scrap for a little while. That's excellent and wonderful. Wonderful and excellent. All right, we're halfway there on that. And I've got 2 upgrade points, so I might as well use them for something. Which is the thing we want to get to the +2 with first? Engage or endure? Probably engage. Yeah. That'll make things cheaper. Yeah, let's go ahead and use up our stabilizer too. So that we can keep having 6 dice and that doesn't go down. Hey, finally, a really good series of rolls. So, let's go ahead and... is Moritz gonna come talk to me when Bliss's thing is done? I forgot to actually look how many, clicks that clock needs to click. 2 more. I presume Moritz will come to get us to let us know when whatever's going down there is going to go down. In the meantime, let's just go ahead and use all 4 of these, and that should get us to... Well, hang on. Let me back up. Can I go buy some more scrap at the scrap merchant? No, they're done. I've bought out all of the scrap that they want to sell. So that's unfortunate. So let's go ahead and spend 3 dice to... I'm sorry, 4 dice to get the 8 scrap we need. And that'll complete our care package, and then everything else is going to be logistics. What? Oh, I said 4 and then did 3. Oops, whoops. Well, that's... Energy went down a little bit, but that's fine. We can fix that. There is 8 scrap for the flotilla. That's it. These components should be enough to cover most of the basic repairs the flotilla needs. You hope. You look over the pile of scrap components lying in the briar. You look around. The bay is empty. Ashen peak either elsewhere in the station or on the bridge a couple of levels up. You begin sorting through the pile, separating out useful components and boxing them by use. You don't recognize everything you find, but before long you get into the rhythm of sorting. As you do, your mind starts to drift. your attention being drawn into the dark corners of the bay. The Briar is in surprisingly good condition, considering that Hawthorne and XPR must have been operating it for decades by now. The marks of care are everywhere, from the delicate patch jobs, polished to meld into the original finish, or the carefully bound wiring running through the custom trunking. Esh loves this ship, that much is clear. Something catches your eye in one of the dark corners, a matte black stack of crates you hadn't spotted before. They are sleek and compact, tucked away behind some of the bigger, more worn containers. We can investigate those. But I think I want to leave them alone. You put the containers out of your mind and focus on the sorting process. This is Esh's ship, and she wouldn't appreciate you rooting around in it. You hear a hiss, and Esh comes up through the bay's lock. She barely registers your presence, nodding at you as she passes. Sleeper? She busies herself with some task at the back of the bay. Ask about the crates. Esh doesn't turn around from whatever she is busy with. Just more supplies, Sleeper, like everything else here. You can't think of anything else to ask, but since the atmosphere has now somehow shifted, you quickly finish up the sorting and slip out, waving goodbye to her back as you do. A So that's sorted. Now, the care package having been made, we just need to make sure we can get it to where it wants to go. Let's do our work assignment real quick. And then let's go eat some food too, because that knock to our energy really took the life out of us. Let's use our kitchen. We haven't yet. At the Banteyan. Cook matsutake caps. The matsutake require a softer touch. You've learned to thinly slice and lightly fry them to keep their flavor. -1 cap, plus a bunch of energy. Fantastic. Alright, now we have a double handful of days to upgrade the ship and make sure it can get out usefully. 2, 2, 2, 1, 2. We are re-rolling all of that. Thank you. 3, 4, 5, 5, 6. What do we... We should just pick one and focus on it, I think. So let's... Sorry, I took my mouth away from the mic. Or rather, I took the mic away from my mouth because it's a headset. Let us convince a crew. With division rife among the tug crews, gathering support for a supply shipment will just be a case of picking the right crew and then approaching them discreetly. Let us do that thing. Wow, only one success per roll on this one too, huh? Fucking yeeks and yikes. This is still doable. It's not, it's well within our capability. Just looking at it makes me go, yeah. All of that done. We're gonna have to come back and do that some more. I do also still need to put in my work assignment at the commune. There we go. head off to a sleep. Oh, there you are. Sleeper. Long time. Moritz is smiling at you when you leave, clearly happy to see you again. Moritz, it's good to see you. Same. He rubs his hands on his jacket. How have you been? Working hard. Yeah, I bet. Well, you're always welcome to hang at the bay if you want. He glances around. Actually, that's what I'm here about. I know Bliss said she didn't want to take any more big jobs, but she's changed her mind or something, because now we have someone looking for a refit of their ship in our bay. You would not believe it. They want their entire ship disarmed. Cutting out defense arrays, weapon lockers, ship-to-ship countermeasures, the whole lot. He leans in. We'll be able to start an arms dealership with all the hardware we'll have up there when we're done. He laughs. Anyway, it's a massive job, and we need to get some hands. Bliss had to go get you. So, come on up. Bliss is waiting on you to accept the job. He pauses. It'll be good to have you up there again. He grins, like old times. So, if Bliss is waiting on us to accept the job, does that mean we can just sort of let it chill while we do the rest of this stuff? The answer appears to be yes. I'm just not gonna, well... Is the game going to require me to do that? Conversation. Yup. Okay. Let's do all the stuff we can over here with the flotilla first. We can get the tug escort locked down real quick. You meet Peak leaning in a corner of the canteen in their typically unassuming way. It occurs to you as you approach that Peak must have had some practice at staying invisible. All good? They look up from their slate. That crew you were talking to. They nod to the group leaving the canteen. Will they join us? That's what they say. You aren't sure? Peak looks back at them as they disappear into the corridors of the installation. Looks like we'll have to take them at their word either way. Peak beckons for you to follow as they peel off the wall and head out into the walkway overlooking the cordon. Glad you were here to talk them into it. I never had much of a way with people. Peak smiles and looks away quickly as you talk. You and Ash seem to do okay. Peak laughs their light and easy laugh. Ash is not really like other people, which you've probably noticed. If only everyone was like Ash, they fade off, something drawing their attention. What I mean is that people have caused me a lot of trouble. I've had people hate me without knowing a damn thing about me. I inserted that damn, but I'm keeping it. They tuck their hair behind an ear. I'm sure you know the feeling. They tend to ignore me. That sounds nice. Peak laughs a little. Peak leads you around a corner, leading back to the main cordon access way. I appreciate you coming in and helping us out on this, Sleeper. On talking to the crew and, well, you know. Maybe after this insane plan is done, we can talk properly. They keep looking ahead, and you realize that they're nervous. I'd like that. Peak smiles, looking down at their feet. Yeah, that's settled then, they say to the floor. I better report the news to Ash. We have ourselves a tug escort. Peak stops at an intersection. See you soon, Sleeper, and please, take care. With that, they drift away, their head down, their gait changing as they do, their practiced invisibility shrouding them like a cape. Woo. I'm looking at both of these other ones, and they both have, like, 1 tick per success on them. So that's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 at least dice we're going to have to throw into this. Now that's 3 days. We have 4 days left. It gives me the gibblies. It's thoroughly doable. Just it makes me unbelievably nervous. Let's go back to the hub and talk to Bliss and see how this is going to go for her. When you enter the bay, it is weirdly quiet. Moritz must be out on some errand, and maybe Bliss is prepping the kit? Really didn't expect you here, Ankita. I feel like I didn't get this the last time I played this game. Sleeper. Ankita is drifting at one side of the bay. You missed her completely when you came in. The idea of not seeing Ankita when you entered a room would have seemed unlikely to you several cycles ago, but seeing her without her armor, she seems smaller, less imposing. Ankita? She nods and kicks off from the wall, drifting closer. So, what is this? Come to avenge Ashton or a sleeper? Or just looking for another payout? Her anger is familiar, but quieter than before. Restrained. I don't want to fight. Then why are you here? She looks away, and you can tell her anger isn't directed at you in particular. It radiates off of her like fire. You better be ready to sign, comes a shout from the bay entrance. Oh, that's a complete. I thought it was being cut off. You better be ready to sign, because I've got my best repair tech coming up here especially, and they are going to... Bliss glides in, and suddenly stops herself when she sees you and Ankita standing off. Oh, Sleeper, you're already here. Miss Casetta, this is the tech I was telling you about. The best on the hub... She stops, looking between the two of you. Wait, you two know each other? You and Ankita look at each other. We work together. Bliss squints at you both before continuing. Bliss produces a slate. Now, Miss Casetta, if you'd like to sign our damage waiver here, we can start on the decommissioning. She looks at you. My tech here is eager to get started, as am I. Ankita scrawls her signature across the slate. Thank you. Bliss pauses. And everything is okay with the special payment terms we discussed? She gives Ankita a strange smile. It's all fine, says Ankita, giving you another hard look. Then she kicks off and drifts to the entrance. I'll be in the gimbal, she says, and leaves. Special payment terms? She looks over her glasses at you. Look, Sleeper, there's something I have to tell you. She glances around again. What is she so nervous about? This isn't exactly a typical job. Miss Ankita, she gives you a knowing look, doesn't have the chits to pay us, so we've made a special arrangement. She sighs. I'm leaving. You're joining a mercenary crew? Don't make me laugh. Ankita's an ex-merc. Why do you think she's getting us to remove all of her ship's armaments? Amber. The ship is called Amber. Bliss gives you a funny look. There's some deep history here, huh? She holds up a hand to stop you answering. Look, all I care about is that she's heading for the Starward Belt. She looks out of the bay. That's where I'm headed. She turns back to face you. Also, I wanted to ask... She stops, unsure. If you'd like to come with us? I'm sort of in the middle of something. If I hit, I would. Would that break into the middle of that. Okay, so every other time that we've done like a thing which constitutes an ending, we've been given the chance to back out of it. Specifically so that we can keep going on and doing all the shit on the station. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say I would. She interrupts you before your answer. I know things have been hard for you on the eye, and you helped me so much. I asked Ankita if she'd carry the two of us, and she said yes. Moritz will take over the bay anyway, although if you stay, you're welcome to help him run it. I just thought you might be in need of a fresh start as much as I am. She turns away nervously. Think about it anyway. The berth is there. We've got to finish the job first anyway. And with that, she kicks away and heads to the racks before you can offer an answer. Moments later, Moritz enters with a new cutting torch for the disarming of the ambergris. The starward belt. You push your thoughts to the back of your mind. Time to get to work. Okay, so this isn't a thing that clicks down on its own. We are going to have to come in here and do the work to do the refit. So we're not on a cycle there. We can focus our attention on the flotilla. So that's good. I'm going to. Let's finish out this cycle, and then I'm gonna go take the break. Swing over this way to which one? Have we done anything on either of these? No, I was doing the math in my head previously. Okay. Let's just, there's 10 to touch, so touch them left or right. Let's just do it this way. Wow, why? Okay. Briar upgrade, let's, oh good, that reroll went fantastically. Let's throw ahead and throw a couple more sixes into here. Nope, not all of them. I still need to do my shift at the commune. I'm glad that I remembered that. They will not kick you out if you miss one, but I would rather not miss that many, and also it's the way we're getting our, also the way we're getting our energy back. Hey, Multi. I know, say much, but hi, this looks cool. This game is very cool. I like it a lot, and we're pretty deep into it to the extent where most of the, like, if you wanted to play this game on your own time, the whole of the main game will still be a surprise to you. This is basically just DLC stuff we're doing at this point. Glad to see you. I am right now, though, going to go head out to the break. Before I go to the break, I want to take this opportunity to remind you that Black Lives Matter, that Indigenous lives and lands matter, the lives of people of color matter, that Palestinian, Ukrainian, Sudanese, Congolese, Iranian lives matter. There are many ways to be in solidarity with your fellow travelers upon this earth, and we like to push for direct mutual aid, as it helps people who are suffering right now suffer less, and people who are suffering less can stand shoulder to shoulder with us a little bit taller. So on my break, I'm going to go to my social media and go to the mutual aid hashtag and boost what needs I can there. I recommend that you take the opportunity to check out mutual aid initiatives in places you operate, both online and in MeetSpace, because the only way we get out of this is through, and the only way we get through this is together. In the meantime, maybe do a stretch, or get some water or a snack, hit the restroom, do whatever self-care is useful to you. I'll do the same, and I'll catch you back here in just a bit. Okay, I'm back. I'm at the... No, no, I'm gonna save it for the preamble. That's not right now. I'm just gonna do the thing. Okay. Crud. I'm gonna have to use another stabilizer, aren't I? Yes, I am. So. Let's end the cycle, and we'll just in hell. All right. A rapid burst of movement catches your attention. A drone, its fins adjusting as it hovers in place, floats in the corridor. Hello? The drone shifts a little bit, but does not respond. The drone buzzes closer, and a voice gurgles out of its speaker, distorted and strange. Sleeper, come to the cordon. We need to speak. Who is this? The drone clicks and whirs, and the recording starts playing again. Sleeper, come to the cordon. We need to speak. Inspect the drone. You move closer, and the drone bobs away to a safe distance, but as it does, you see the HA of Heavenage emblazoned on its side. Could this be Feng's drone? Satisfied it has delivered its message, the drone rotates and accelerates away as rapidly as it arrived. You stare at it as it disappears from sight, hoping for some insight that escapes you. To the cordon, then. Okay. Oh, unknown. That makes me feel safe. As you enter the passage that leads you through the cordon, a flash of movement catches your eye. The drone. It stops to make sure you've seen it, and then flits into a side passage leading to a set of narrow stairs. You climb up through a dark shaft, the drone stopping at each landing to check you are following. Despite its lack of expression, there's something overbearing about the way the drone waits, impatiently realigning its fins in sequence. After a long climb, you come out onto an observation platform. The cordon and the vast ramshackle refugee ships beyond your vision. The scale seems impossible, and immediately you feel small and naive for even thinking you could affect this situation. Something shifts nearby. The drone again? A woman is standing at the window at the edge of your vision. You aren't surprised you didn't notice her. She too seems impossibly small in the shadow of the flotilla. The drone buzzes by her shoulder and she turns. The game gives her name as Helene. She is a person of medium build in what looks like it's absolutely a Heavenage like work jumpsuit. Not the big padded 0G ones, but yeah, with a kind of short layered haircut. I can't tell if that's some incredible coloring on one side of her hair or if that's just the way the shadows are doing it. She looks very nervous. Sleeper, sorry for all the cloak and dagger nonsense. She nods at the drone, but I've never regretted being cautious. She smiles a tight smile and holds out a hand. I'm Helene. Shake her hand. The tight smile holds, but the drone keeps its single eye fixed on you. The effect is a little unnerving. Look. She glances around the MC observation deck as if checking for potential eavesdroppers. Let's be straight with each other. I know about your plans, and she cuts in before you can respond. I understand your motives. You look at her in her overalls, the yellow markers, the HA sigil. You've been on the Eye long enough to recognize a Havenage member when you see them. You're in Heavenage. Yes, I mean, I expect that's obvious. I hope you won't hold that against me? She glances around nervously again and moves a little closer. This entire situation, I'm not here to defend it. She glances back at the flotilla. No one's happy about this. Yeah, especially not the refugees. She sighs. I'm not your enemy here, no matter what you think. Sleeper, tell me something. What does Heavenage mean to you? We are given the answers. Hardin Hurst, that's the name of the CEO of Heavenage. The organization being completely inextricable from the asshole that runs it. A work in progress. Maybe there is work we can do here. Or a fresh start. No. Hardin Hurst. She squints at you. That was unfortunate. But you should know it was one of our own who exposed Hardin, and that's been dealt with. Heavenage is used to being criticized. In some ways, we invite it. Our members are free to bring up grievances at any meeting, to propose new structures and approaches. She shifts her weight impatiently. As a counselor, it's my duty to listen to them. That is why I was elected by the members. We are an imperfect system, yes, and each counselor, each member, each representative can be flawed and worse. She looks down. But we keep this place running. That is what we do. And the flotilla, and the non-members, both of which are great fucking points to make. And the flotilla? She turns and looks out at the clump of fractured ships. The flotilla is a problem. Can the Eye take in thousands of refugees safely? I don't know. This place is a ruin, Sleeper. What do you think the council discusses? The price of Griol? We make plans to keep this place spinning, to keep life support working, to ensure... Helene Slate chirps, and a grim look passes across her face as she sees the notification. She looks tired, the screen light casting her rigid expression in a pale glow. Sleeper, I didn't bring you here to explain how Heavenage works. I came to talk about your plan to cross the cordon, breach the quarantine, and supply the flotilla. We are going to stay silent. I know you think you are helping the flotilla, but you cannot do this. Right now, halfway along the ring, one of a countless series of debates are being held. These debates are to evaluate the potential harm that could be caused if the refugees of the flotilla are left to enter the station. These debates are at a standstill. Helene walks to the window. Too many in the Heavenage Council think of the flotilla as a threat. After recent events, a hardline group has emerged. Protective, selfish. They seek only to benefit the members. In their mind, the flotilla is a danger to life on the Eye. If you are caught crossing the cordon and breaching the quarantine, it'll only strengthen the hardline counselor's case. Criminals who stole a ship from XPR undermining the security of the station is exactly what they want. The refugees need supplies. They do, and that's exactly what I want to give them, but unless the quarantine is lifted through a fair process, they will never get them. She sighs deeply. And those that really is upsetting to say. And those XPR spacers you're running with? Sleeper, do you know anything about them? More than I know about you. She looks at you pleadingly. Let's change that, Sleeper. Why do you think the refugee flotilla came here now? Something's happening in the system. Something is pushing people out of colonies and outposts that have survived since the Solheim collapse. We need to be ready for whatever's coming. Ready to protect the Eye. Hi again, Freya. A corporate asshole is negotiating a bunch of people's lives with us. So that's fun. That's a fun thing to do. I know the Eye means something to you. I know there's a reason you're still here. Help me protect it. Helene fixes you with a strong look. Persuade those spacers that this is the wrong move, that they'll get caught and the flotilla will be locked down, that Heavenage will be delivered into those with the worst instincts. Forget this suicidal supply run with people you barely know. Help me fight for the Eye. Why don't you stop them? Oh, I thought that meant why don't you stop, hey, those hardline assholes who are causing life to be worse in your organization? Why aren't you stopping those people? If I expose the plan, it's the same as if it goes ahead and they're caught. Every way I look at it, the Eye looks compromised and the quarantine justified. The hardliners get their scapegoat. Don't offer up the excuse the hardliners need to lock the flotilla out altogether, to persuade the members that they are the safest pair of hands. She looks at you imploringly. Please. You look back at her and the flotilla behind, and sense a desperation in her plea. A notification breaks the silence. Shit. She rapidly scrolls through pages of data. Sleeper, I need to go. She looks torn. Think about this, please. Talk to the spacers, help them see reason. And she quickly leaves the observation deck before you have time to respond. You stay for a moment, watching the lights of the tugs and the flotilla, and wonder what it feels like to be on one of those ships, so close to your destination and yet so far from it. And then you think of the Heavenage Council Chamber across the Eye, where the right of these people to find safety is being debated. You shiver, and then you too are gone, back into the stairwell and the cold dark below. I'm just going to go ahead and look through the things that we have available to us. But in fact, we do not have some new clock tracker that is, hey, convince Peak and Esh to not help the refugees actually. First of all, Esh wouldn't fucking listen to us. And second, I have no fucking desire to do that. We can probably just get the Briar upgrade done, like, right now, if we have good luck on these rerolls. Because I don't want to try and do this with 1s and 2s. Yeah, there we go. You manage to hit the hangar during a shift change, and the whole place is empty. You come away with a thruster set with a little effort. Peak grins as you pile the ion thruster sets onto the motorized trolley in a derelict loading bay. I borrowed this from Ash. I barely know how it works. They seem giddy at the idea of stealing the ship parts from Heavenage. I thought you worked for XPR. I did, but not as a repair tech. They help you heave the thruster into position. My specialty was computer systems. I mostly worked on keeping the protocols that ran the refueling platforms from totally decaying due to lack of use. There's a load of platforms in orbit of the moon Hawthorne is on, and on Cinder itself. Ash and I ended up having to head out to them regularly to work on them. Sounds like hard work. Are you kidding? Peak smiles. It was the best job at Hawthorne. You get assigned a ship, you get to leave the colony for a bit. It's so much better than outpost maintenance or canteen work. The only reason we got assigned it is that Ash's mother is the administrator of Hawthorne, and Ash managed to get my name on the list too. Peak looks for the trolley's ignition. Ash is always saving me. They find the switch and hit it, and the trolley starts whining. Peak looks at the thrusters. Ash will install these. The Briar is her baby, really. Peak looks towards the bay exit. Truth be told, I was surprised. Sorry. Truth be told, I was surprised she could bring herself to take it from her mother. Losing a ship? That has to hurt the colony. What's her mother like? Tough. You'd have to be to keep control of services outposts with no services to provide. It's a tough place overall, Hawthorne. And Esh's mom, she likes it that way. Peak shuffles the trolley out of the bay into the corridor. They'll manage without the Briar. No choice. Peak smiles, and I have to admit, I'd have loved to see her face when she saw we'd gone. Peak pauses. Don't tell Esh that. They walk on quietly, lost in their memories of Hawthorne. Okay, I think I can manage the rest. Peak brushes their hair out of their face. You've done more than enough this cycle. Peak looks over the thrusters. Once these are fitted, the Briar handle better than ever. Might even get a thank you from Esh. They head off into the corridor, the trolley whining its high-pitched whine. I'll see you soon. Oof, okay. We just need to clear out one last thing, and we'll be ready for that run. And so incredibly tight. I dislike it, but here we are. Let's have our sleep. And Sleeper, Peak is waiting for you when you leave the dorm, but they look different. Pale, drawn out. You need to come up to the Briar, now. They don't meet your eye. What's happened? Not here. Come to the ship. We'll be waiting. Don't take long. And with that, they disappear around the corner, leaving you anxious and confused. Oh, fun. As you walk into the Climbing Briar's cavernous bay, now filled with crates and containers, Esh is waiting for you. In front of her, sliced open with its inside scattered across the top of a heavy-duty crate, is an object you recognize. Helene's drone. You freeze. Come in, quick. Peak nudges you into the bay, looking behind you before sealing the entryway. We have to start being careful. You move closer to the container, your eyes on the drone splayed out in pieces, some parts of it hooked up to a slate that Peak picks up and begins tapping away at. Esh looks up from the dissection. We caught it buzzing around nearby, heading for the ship. She leans over and taps the HA signal on one of the removed pieces of plating. It's a Heaven spy. We think we got it before it sent data back, but we can't be sure. Peak looks at you, nervously. Esh cuts in. Have you noticed anyone watching you? Any drones like this? Anyone following you up to the Briar? I've seen this drone. Following you? I meant its owner. Esh pauses for a while, Peak looking between the two of you. Explain, Sleeper. Tell them about Helene. Lie about meeting Helene. We will be telling them about Helene. You explain that you met with Helene at the Cordon, and you tell Esh and Peak about what she told you, that the Heaven Age Council are debating lifting the quarantine, but they're blocked by the hardliners. You speak faster and faster, but before you can finish, Esh walks away in anger, and then comes back again, her eyes burning. What is this, Sleeper? Have you understood nothing from what we've told you? She paces in front of you. Heaven Age are not your friends, they're administrators, which means they're interested only in their own power, their own survival, and their own causes. They divide people as easily as sorting livestock. The greater good of their work demands it, the wider project of the station, the colony, the nation. Her eyes are wide as she speaks, her anger barely contained. I didn't have a choice. Peek cuts in. Listen to them, please, Ash. They're with us. Peek glances between you two. What was the sleeper supposed to do? They were ambushed by this Helene. I only listened is true. She is trying to help, I guess, from her point of view. I disagree that what she's doing is helping. She is trying to help. She is failing to help, but she is trying to help. Let me tell you something, Sleeper, Ash says, her rage hardening into pain. When people become administrators, they give up something. Some part of being human, being an equal amongst others, goes away. They start talking about the greater good, the systems, the ways in which their hands are tied or their processes compromised. My mother was the administrator of Hawthorne, and I've seen what it did to her. That noble, higher calling, it's toxic. People should never have the chance to decide the fate of others, and those that do so at a cost to their humanity. Peek tries to cut in, but Ash holds up a hand. Don't start, Peek. Don't ask me to be reasonable or calm down. Thousands of people are desperate out there. Being reasonable will only prolong their suffering. You are right. The other option was Helene can help, which isn't... The tone that I wish to give it is Helene can help. The way she's doing it isn't fantastic, but the game will take it as us pleading her side, which is not something I want to do. Ash doesn't move for a moment, then she lifts a hand to rub her temples. She goes to say something, then stops. She walks back into the bay and starts checking the straps on the crates. I'll make the run. She yanks on a strap. No more distractions. Yeah, even if we were on Helene's side, Ash was not going to fucking listen to us. Sleeper. Peek looks torn. You have to understand this is personal for Ash. I know. Peek looks away and then at Ash. I don't know, Sleeper. I just don't know what to do. You glance around the bay of the Briar, the walls seeming closer every second. This whole thing is closing in on you, and the question is, where do you want to be when it all collapses? You look at Peek. What do you think, Sleeper? Should we do this thing or not? Yes, we should. Okay then. They squeeze your shoulder. Onward. They slip away to help Ash, leaving you alone to replay the conversation in your head. A certain kind of grim determination settling in the room. Last chance to prepare. And repair we shall. We need to click all of this down, huh? Yep. Some careful I think I read this already, but I'm going to do it again. Some careful sabotage to the coordinate system should create a sensor gap that allow the Briar to bypass the automatic quarantine systems. We're going to do all of that, and I don't know, given that we haven't skipped a work assignment in a while, I'm just going to go ahead and finish our last dice off here so that we can make sure we do it next cycle. Not that that was really... Not that it was in question, it just made me nervous. Oh, right, we need food also. I'll deal with that in a moment. Let's finish this thing. You carefully code a timed emergency maintenance program to take out some of the sensors on the cycle Ash is planning to make her run. Peek is waiting for you when you slip out of the operations center, nervously poking at their small slate. Sleeper, I followed what you were doing on the network. It's incredible work. How do you do that? It comes naturally. Peak smiles. I can't tell if that's modesty or just the truth. Interfacing skills like that? It's almost worth being... They stop themselves. Sorry, I didn't mean... Don't worry about it. Sorry. You and Peak quietly slip into the main walkway and work your way back to the public areas of the cordon. Heavenage has had to quickly respond to the flotilla's arrival, and that means a lot of contractors and spacers walking through these corridors. You blend in easily enough. I haven't really met a sleeper before, Peak begins, as you might have guessed. They smile nervously. Hawthorne's an XPR service outpost, and since the collapse, no one came for refueling or repairs anymore, so my generation has never met anyone outside the company. We heard about sleepers. They nod in your direction. From the data packets that come through from XPR every once in a while, they usually contain news along with the corporate propaganda, but the reports were light on the details. SNARP have kept the sleeper program pretty quiet anyway, and I think XPR employees are only interested in telling their employees about it because it made living in our company town look like a good life in comparison to being a piece of company property. They freeze. Sorry. Again, I don't mean... They look down. I'm just not sure how to talk about this stuff. Like, maybe don't talk about it? That's fair. They look away. Sorry again. You walk on a little further, the walkway becoming busier. You both relax a little more and go with the flow of people. I just want to say, I think I understand. They begin again. Clearly this has been on their mind. I understand the need to escape, to get free of it all. They laugh at themselves. The structures, the systems, the company horizons in a company town. They stare ahead. The small places, small corridors, small people. They look away. The slow death it brings. That's it. They turn to you. I get why you signed up to be a sleeper, and why you escaped from that, too. Nod. You try to form words, but you can't. There's altogether too much running through your head. But you look at Peak, and they look at you, and that seems okay for now. You walk in silence again, each of you in their own thoughts, but moving together through space nonetheless. After a while, you come to the entrance of the cordon, where handfuls of workers and crews filter in and out through two huge loading bay doors. Peak stops. Okay. They pause. I'm heading back to the Briar. Once again, incredible work on the sensors. That blind spot you created, that should give us a real advantage. See you soon. They head off, disappearing into the crowd almost immediately, outrunning their own nervousness. And that's the run taken care of. Glad to have it off my plate. Let's go ahead and take this time to harvest some mushrooms. And I'm really hoping to get another set of club caps out of this, so that I can make some more stabilizer. Is this a big ring? Yeah, it's called the Eye because that's what it would look like if we could see it all together. There's gaps in it because of various damage the station has had overall, but it's a massive ring with up here a hub section. So when zoomed out, yeah. Let's re-roll this and go ahead and work on the ambergris a little. Disarm amber. Let's go ahead and get some spicy fungus from Emphasis Stall. Cross back to the Greenway. Forgot to do our shift at the... Not forgot. Just had other stuff going on. Let's hit that. The Haifa Commune. And... Oh, we did get enough club cats to get some more stabilizers, so let's go ahead and do that. Because now that the immediate encroaching thing is sorted, I can just sort of let myself have 5 dice instead of 6 for a while. Or 4 dice instead of 5. What? Okay. She's gone, Sleeper. Peak is breathless and shaking. She started the run without us. Shit. Let's go. If we head to the cordon now, Peak starts back up the corridor. They turn back. She has to make it, Sleeper. She has to. A shiver runs down your spine. Ash, I hope you know what you're doing. Let's have a look. You arrive, frantic and anxious, at the cordon. Peak is nowhere to be seen. Then you hear footsteps, hammering on the metal stairway Helene's drone led you through before, the one that leads up to the observation deck. You leap up the stairs 2 at a time and make it to the top, momentarily blinded by the light pouring into the observation deck. Sleeper, Peak emerges from the light. I know she's trying to protect me, but... it's okay. She chose. What about my choice, Sleeper? I'm not a child anymore. I can fight for myself. They turn away. There she is. Peak rushes to the wide window, leaning forward to catch a glimpse of the Climbing Briar's blue XPR livery against the black of the void. You spot the Climbing Briar, a glint of blue and white, beside it, and the red glare of a tug's lights. The tug crew went with her. Peak smiles. I knew they'd keep their word. That'll help. Peak doesn't seem to hear you, but the idea of the crew backing Ash up makes you smile. Maybe this thing will work. You watch as the Briar and its tug escort arc down towards the edge of the cordon, demarcated by the red lights of the perimeter system. So far, so good. The Briar will just look like another refugee ship being escorted into the cordon, at least at a glance. Peak grips the rail as Ash reaches the edge of the cordon, the invisible net of sensors splayed between ships and drones. And let's hope the blind spot triggered. You think back to the mess of systems you had to wade through to set it up, the delicate contingencies you set up to trigger the sensor blackout at just the right moment. Without noise and without ceremony, the Briar slides through the cordon. You await the flickering of alarm lights, the swarming of drones, but nothing. Just another cycle, just another ship. Ash is in. Both you and Peak let out the breath you've been holding and laugh. How did she do it? We did it. Peak smiles wider. Yeah, we did. You feel a little shaky from the tension, but Peak's ease helps you settle. You imagine Ash, steely-eyed in the pilot seat of the Briar, searching for a place to dock. Maybe being stubborn has its advantages. You okay? Me? I think that took years off my life, but I've got to hand it to Ash. She was right. You and Peak turn back to the window, looking for the Briar again amongst all those hulls, the calm fading as new worries settle in. You spot the Briar first this time, docking with the largest of the flotilla ships, a vast converted tanker, half of its protective plates removed. You think about the effort it must have taken to get that thing all the way here from the inner system. You watch the Briar, unable to get any sense of progress from its placid exterior. They'll be offloading everything now. Peak says, both assuring you and themselves that everything's going according to plan. You think of all the supplies loaded into the Briar, how long the processes of unloading them might take. The bay was packed, rammed with everything you could offer, and the thought of bringing all that to the flotilla makes you smile. You'll think of the reaction of the refugees, the welcome they'll give Ash as the bearer of such gifts. You even imagine a smile from Ash as she is showered with thanks. You focus on that as you watch the Briar, and continue the nervous wait for it to finish unloading. It's breaking off. Peak points at the Briar, and you see the puff of air and dust that accompanies an emergency depressurization. Ash must have ended things early. Why? Then you see them, the tugs closing in on the Briar. Heavenage must have spotted the ship. You and Peak are up against the window again, willing the Briar a safe path out of the flotilla. Suddenly, the Briar shifts in space, a blue blur between two hulls. Peak whistles. Look at that! They smile at you. Look like those upgrades we put together work. You watch as Ash cuts through the crowded flotilla, the tugs not daring to follow her dangerous path, and peeling away. It is hard to keep track of the Briar, and suddenly both you and Peak are searching the black for a sign. Where has she gone? Then, all of a sudden, she's out, blue against the black, pulling away from the cordon on a wide arc back towards the station. A clean run. Peak cheers and smiles at you. We did it! She's out! They beam uncontrollably at you as the tension release. You find yourself smiling too, smiling at these two beautiful idiots and their beautiful ship. Then Peak is hugging you, squeezing you with all the nervous energy that had been building. Thank you, Sleeper. We did this together. They step back, still smiling. We did something. Come on. They rush out of the observation deck. Let's meet her. Let's look at that upgrade point. Do you want to wait for the +3? I want to wait for the +3. Let's do that. We, for the first time since beginning the game, I think, have no active drives. That's absolutely about to change. You and Peak rush into the Briar, finding yourselves in the now empty bay. The change is a reminder of what you achieved, and looking around, you feel all the more satisfied. A hiss sounds at the far end of the bay, and Ash enters looking exhausted. Peak runs up to embrace her, but she sits down on the bay floor before they reach her. You did it. They sit beside her. Ash, you were incredible. She smiles a small smile at this, laying her head on Peak's shoulder. You suddenly feel like you are intruding, seeing the two of them like this, quiet and content. Sleeper, Peak calls, come on over. You cross the bay and sit beside them on the hard metal floor. Ash, did you give the flotilla our chairs? They both burst out laughing at the ridiculousness of it all, the exhaustion and worry and everything else. You laugh too. It is impossible not to. And after a while, you all come to a stop, Peak wiping their eyes and Ash shaking her head. You would have loved to see it, Sleeper, Ash says quietly. The welcome I got. They came to greet the ship once I docked to offload the supplies. I told them I was coming, of course, as soon as I got inside the cordon, but there were so many. Children, families, they were smiling at me, shaking my hand. Sol was there too, Peak, and he's just as gruff as he sounds over comms. They took it all, crate after crate, until the ship was emptied out. Ash looks away, but there were so many. And even with everything we managed to bring, they needed more. They made me promise I'd try to come back. Ash, Peak shakes her head. You know we can't do that twice. Ash stands up. What are we supposed to do? Wait for them to lift the quarantine? She's angry again, the familiar tension rising in her voice. Peak tries to pull her back down. Sit, Ash, rest. You've done enough for today. Don't, Peak. I know my limits. Ash hardens. Okay, well, seeing as they didn't catch you, perhaps they'll lift it. They know the flotilla poses no danger now, And if they can account for the extra load on the life support, Ash walks away towards the ladder that leads into the upper part of the ship. I need to rest, Peak. She holds up a hand. Sleeper. Then she limps up the ladder, step by painful step. I'm afraid if you were expecting a change in Nesh's demeanor. Peak smiles at you. At least she's honest. I think I need some rest too. They put a hand on your shoulder and get up from the floor. We couldn't have done this without you, Sleeper, and I know those in the flotilla would thank you too. Go rest. Peak limps up the ladder tube, leaving you alone on the metal floor of the bay. Your thoughts drift to all those people on the flotilla, sleeping and sitting on metal floors like this. Children, families playing in cargo bays and repurposed fuel tanks. You know their story isn't over yet, and you look forward to meeting them. Quarantine will lift. You feel more sure of this fact every moment, even though you aren't sure why. You lie back on the metal and stare at the ceiling. What was it Fing told you Erlen said? The eye opens for us all? Maybe the old guy was right. A home for the lost. You like the idea of that. Maybe in time you can help make that a reality. But something is bothering you. A sliver of a thought like a splinter you can't extract. Why are thousands of refugees coming here now? People don't abandon their homes for nothing. What wave is rushing through the system? And when will it reach the eye? You shudder on the cold metal floor and get up. Something is coming. You can feel it. This isn't over. Episode Flux complete. The first part of the flotilla story is complete. Episode Refuge begins when the cycle clock below is filled. Good luck. That'll happen in 3 cycles. And in the meantime, I guess, let's go ahead and finish harvesting mushrooms at the fungal field. And grab some spores at the mushroom grove so we can replant there. I kind of, pardon me, I kind of wish I could do that more than one at a time. We'll do our stint in the commune for the day. And let's reroll that too. Yeah, 4 is better. And we'll spend a little time working on the ambergris. And then I think I'm going to call it for the evening, because this is a good place to leave off. Pardon me, yawn. On that cycle. And start afresh tomorrow evening. So, thank you, everyone who came in to check this out tonight. Thank you, Freya, Fib, and Multi, who I'm very sorry if I've gotten your name wrong. I should have asked. Thank you to anyone watching this as a VOD. And yeah, we're gonna keep on this. We're gonna keep on with this tomorrow. Until then, I have been September of the Free Association. And I want you to know I love you. Keep yourself safe. Find something to do and do it. Don't listen to assholes who tell you this isn't the right time and this isn't the right way. It's never going to be the right time or way for those people. Later.